Hi, I'm Zeke, and today I'm going to show you a game that I played, the Queen's Gambit. So here's how the Queen's Gambit works. The Queen's pawn goes to d4, and Black's Queen's pawn goes to d5, and then White pushes the c pawn to c4. Now, here I decided to accept the gambit and take the pawn. It's called a gambit because they're gambiting the pawn. So Black takes, and now White is taking the full center. Now, here's a little trick you should know about the Queen's Gambit. If you moved your knight to c6, and then White moves their knight to c3, then you can take here on d4 with the Queen. Then, White's Queen takes, your knight takes, and now you are splitting the king and the rook. You're getting ready to split, threatening splitting the king and the rook. Okay, so Black moves their knight to c6, and here's a way to prevent against it. If you move your other knight out at f3, which it automatically protects this pawn and prevents that. And the only way to defend against that if they do not move the knight here is to move your rook. That's the only thing. So Black moves to f6 and White moves to c3. Normal development. Black goes to g4, pinning the knight to the queen. White stops to pin. Now Black is getting ready to pin here. Now White castles, which prevents the pin here. But Black moves their bishop there anyway. Here doesn't really help, even though it's here. It would take a couple moves for Black to get their queen and their bishop lined up on this king side, and there would be lots of ways to defend against that. So White pushes the pawn, Black moves here, defended by the pawn and the queen. Now, White moves their bishop to d2. Now, here's where it's very important what you take. If you take the knight, then they take here with the pawn. And then you have to move your bishop again. If you take with the bishop and they recapture with the pawn, or the bishop, the pawn, then you cannot take here because of this bishop. So it doesn't get you up any pieces. So what you do, you take here. Now, we also want to take this pawn. So by taking here, we remove the defender of this pawn. And after White recaptures with the bishop, you take this pawn, attacking the bishop. Now, White takes your knight, and now you cannot take here. Why? Well, the reason for that is, if you take there, then their bishop will take yours. And then you will take their bishop. With check, and they take your knight, and they are up a bishop. So it's not a good thing to do. So first you trade, and now you take here. And after king's pawn takes, now notice that they have double pawns and their king is weak. Now you can take here with the pawn. Rook moves here to get a queen as fast as possible. That's just what White wants to do. So Black castles. It's not a very big threat though, because push there, and if Rook takes, then your Rook takes here. White pushes the pawn, and now black can go to h4, attacking here, even though it's protected by the queen. White pushes the pawn, and this is good for black, because if black takes, now you're actually doing a discovered attack, even though white can take. You want to trade because you're up 2 pawns. So white moves to e6, and black moves to f4, and the queen takes. Now black takes with check, protected by the rook. White moves, and now we are forcing a trade, because if it does not take, the queen does not take here, the queen does not take here, then we take the queen for free. And so the rook is protecting it, so it's forcing a trade. So white takes the queen and black takes the queen. White moves here to gobble up pawns. If we push this pawn, takes this pawn. If we push this pawn, takes this pawn. That's the bad thing about having 2 pawns right here and a rook right here. You're going to lose one of them. So sometimes you don't have to worry about the threat, and sometimes you can put your rook on c8 and prevent against that. White takes the c pawn and black checks. Black's still up a pawn. White takes, black takes check. And after white's king moves to g2, now we are going to gobble up these pawns. Even though white is splitting here, we will take this pawn no matter what. There's no way to defend it. So white takes the pawn on c4, and black takes pawn on a2, which is actually pinning this one. White protects the pawn. Now this is a blunder because it loses a pawn, now you're 1 pawn up. Now now you're only 1 pawn up, not 2. So, and this is what happened. So white gobbled the free pawn. Black moved to a4, and then white moved to b3. Black checks on e4, and white's king moves to h3. Now we're offering a trade right here, protected by the pawn, and now we're attacking the rook and taking, and white took the trade. It's actually a blunder to take the trade, because as you notice, white's king is on h3 and black's king is on g3, so it will get to this pawn first. After black takes, king moves down. Now we're going to check, and the king did not go here. Did not go here because it's holding to my king. Black moves to f6, and white pushes the pawn 2 squares to h4. Going for a stalemate. Yes, a stalemate. White wants you to move to f5 so that it can be a stalemate, because there is no way that white is going to win. At least not very likely at all. So we actually go here, and now the king's only move is here. It's actually white's only legal move, and now black goes to e5. We want the king to go here so that we can go here. No, actually, what we wanted him to do when we pushed this is removing the guard here. But after, if he takes there, we take, and then we take, and then if he comes up, we push, 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 and queen. White goes to g4, and black goes to e5. White takes, black takes, white takes. Now, black is just going to race over and gobble up the pawns. And it was a quick queen. And here's how to do the king-queen checkmate. Once you promote to a queen or have a queen and the opponent only has a king, you go a knight's move away and you just copycat him. If he moves diagonal, you move diagonal. And if he moves diagonal that way, you move diagonal. And you just copycat the king all the way down until he has 2 squares. After the king moves here, you do not want to go there. That is stalemate. And you also do not want your king here. Okay? So now you want the king to have 2 squares, and now your king just races over, and here is checkmate. Thank you for watching.